All right. So let me see. Let me just double check that we're live. Perfect. We are live. Awesome. Hello, everybody. Howdy, howdy. Good morning or good afternoon? Question mark. Um, welcome to Basics of Digital Music Making for everybody. Woo! I have a document for people to follow along with some of the programs that I'm going to be using today. And it's like all of the programs that we're going to be using are free and super easy and fast to set up. Um, so Quills will be sending uh bu- 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 the document. That's the word for it. Um, but yeah, so welcome. So who is this for? This is for everybody. This is for anyone who wants to know how to make music on your computer, or if you've ever been interested in it, or if you're one of those people who thinks music is magic, or even if you do know some stuff already, this is also still for you. This could be a good refresher or a good opportunity to know more than someone else and tell me what I'm doing wrong. Um, but yeah, awesome. So my goals for today are just to show you some of the typical tools that are used in making music on your computer and how you can use those tools. And most importantly, how to have fun. Because I think the operative word for playing music is play. Um, and we will get to play today. So why should you learn how to make music digitally? I can think of maybe a couple reasons, just a few, just one or two reasons why learning how to make music digitally could be cool. First off, it's fun. Second off, I think the most important reason is being able to press buttons and then sounds come out. Um, by far one of my favorite aspects of making music. Um, and why should you listen to me? My name is G. I'm also known as Gooboogy. Um, and I've made quite a bit of music, and I put publish in quotes there because right now it's actually not published anymore. I'm trying to change distributors, or music distributors from the one that I was doing. Neither here nor there. So still working on getting those republished again, but I've got 3 albums. The fourth I'm still working on. Um, and then this picture here is my modular synthesizer that I have at home that I love to play music with. I'm just very passionate about making music. I'm in school for making music and music technology. Yes, those are some wires. It is a very uh spaghettified situation right now. Um, but yeah, so I know some music things. Um, and please feel free to ask questions or, you know, like stop me at any point if anything's getting confusing to you, because I'm definitely at the point where I'm like, I have no idea what a normal person knows about music making. Um, so yeah, if anything I'm saying doesn't make sense, please feel free to stop me. Um, but yeah, so what to expect? So we're gonna try to go over these little parts of making music. First off, there's your DAW, your digital audio workstation. So this is like the software program that you're going to be using to make it. It's like your Clip Studio Paint, your MS Paint, your those kind of things, but for your Audacity, but for making music. Um, and then we're going to be using virtual instrument plugins. So these are little programs that you'll be able to make sounds with just your computer keyboard. Um, and then we've got effects plugins. This is little software that will make the sounds sound different. So like adding delays or reverb or different sort of things like that. We can incorporate samples as well. Um, and I'll also address a little bit of copyright law in the U.S. At least I don't know what copyright law is like in other countries, but it can get pretty tricky. Um, and then we can go over some of the basic parts of a song. And these parts of a song are not like mandatory. It's just like some building blocks, a little bit of guidance when you don't know what you're doing, and then some song making philosophies, and different approaches that we can take towards making musics. So first off, we're gonna go over our DAW. The one that we're going to be using is called Reaper. It's free. Technically, it's only free for 60 days, but after those 60 days, you just get like a little pop up for like 5 seconds, and then it'll go away. And you can still use like all of the functions, everything that nothing is closed off to you. And if you do want to purchase it, it's only $60, which is by far the most affordable DAW, because there are other ones like Logic Pro or Ableton, which are super too expensive. Really, really cool, but very expensive. But Reaper can do like pretty much anything you needed it to do, and it's free. So, um, no, right? Reaper's the best. Um, and then these are the plugins that we're going to be using. These are like little bits of software that we use inside of our DAW. And so the ones on the left here, this Surge XT synthesizer and then the MT Power Drum Kit 2, these are where our sounds are going to be coming from. And then the Valhalla Supermassive and then the Kilohertz Essential. These are the effects, so that'll do stuff to the sound. So left side is make sound, right side is does stuff to sound. And so yeah, let's take a look at all that, and get to know what our tools are. So let's open up Reaper, and when you first download everything, it'll probably take a hot minute for Reaper to load and like figure out what stuff you're doing. And then this is the pop-up that shows, and you can see I've been using it for 190 days, 41 times for quite a hot minute. And I've definitely been using it for more than 60 days and can still use it. It's great. We love Reaper. So this is what your workstation will look like here. Lots of little buttons here, things here. And you'll figure it out as we go along. Don't get too overwhelmed with all this stuff. But what we're gonna do first is let's go to options and preferences and just make sure that your audio output is set up correctly, because that can be an issue sometimes when installing. So just a quick hot tip to double check that before you start playing stuff and you're like, I can't hear anything, and do a whole bunch of stuff before you realize that it's just your headphones. Okay, so then next what we're going to do is right click and do insert virtual instrument. You can also find this on track and then insert virtual instrument on new track, and it'll show up this little thing. Don't worry too much about the side here. We're going to go to Surge XT, do add, and then click no. This does a whole bunch of stuff that you don't need to worry about. It's like it doing more like bespoke, complicated stuff if you know what you're doing. We don't need to worry about this, so we're going to click no for now. And so then this pops up. And so we're not going to go over what all this does, because it's a little too much for beginners, and we don't. Honestly, I'm still learning it myself, but this whole situation is basically a synthesizer. It synthesizes waves, does a whole bunch of stuff to it, makes it sound a certain way, and right now we can't hear anything. But we can if we hit Alt B, and that brings up our virtual keyboard. You can also find this if you go under View and then Virtual MIDI Keyboard. And so now if you hit keys on your keyboard, now you can hear it. And right now I'm going to click both of these. So what this does is a real quick like send all keyboard inputs to virtual keyboard. This just means that if you have other things selected, you can still play music on your keyboard. If this isn't selected, then if you try to play stuff, your computer will get mad at you. Otherwise, you have to like click on this window every time to play. So I'm just gonna keep these selected, and then the arrow keys will change the octave. So this is great. We're already on a good start for having fun. Um, and so with this, if you click on the name here, it says init saw, like initialed saw. Click this, and now there are a whole bunch. All of these are different instruments that you can play with that were made by other people using this synthesizer. So let's do one of my favorites. This one's called Gumdrops. You can find it by Argatoth Keys Gumdrops. And it sounds like this. Very, very nice. Um, so lots of really great options. I think this is one of the most fun and important aspects for learning how to make music, which is knowing your tools and knowing what it is you have to work with. And the best way to do that is by clicking buttons and just trying out different sounds, seeing what they all sound like. Um, and there's some really interesting ones, and I think one that's going to be really useful, especially for as you're still learning and beginning and putting things together, is looking under sequences and trying out some of these. Because what the sequences do is they give you a bit of a rhythm to work with. So, like if you press one key, it just keeps going and doing all sorts of things. Um, like you can get some really interesting noises. So I highly recommend opening that dock and downloading these and just start playing around because there's some real good stuff that we can play with. Um, and let me double check something real quick. Where did I put this thing? Where did I put it? Okay. So yeah, we've got sequences. And I'm gonna go back to my good friend Gumdrops here. So another thing is, if you're new to making music, chances are maybe you don't have as much familiar with a piano keyboard, and you're not sure what all these notes are or which ones to press. So my hot tip. Okay, you can go away now. My hot tip is you don't have to know music theory. First off, music theory can be super super duper helpful, and learning music isn't going to not help you, um, but it is also very overwhelming and can be very complicated and like takes a bit to learn it fully. So some sort of my hot tip, um, sort of like a shortcuts, I guess, are paying attention to the shapes here between the notes because you see a lot of these chords, they've got some space in between the notes. So you want to play around with this kind of spacing out and shapes. Um, and let me show you. And you can get pretty far with uh just actually maybe a different sound. Um, what was this one again? Okay, yeah. So yeah, you see how there's like a space between each note. That'll get you some. That'll be like a really good starting place. And then what you can do is change one note at a time. So like going from here, let's change the middle note to this, and then you get like a slightly different vibe. Um, so that's a really, really great starting place to start messing around, playing things, trying out uh different keys, different chords, and figuring out what the notes sound like and how they sound together. Um, and here we can look at some. Go freak yourself. We can look at some of the chords for the different scales that we can play with. Um, and an easy way of remembering what the notes are, because we've got A through. Oops, not the right. Um, A through G, and the easiest way to remember it is by paying attention to these black notes. There's a pair of 2, pair of 3. The white note to the left of a pair of 2 is C, and the white note to the left of a pair of 3 is F. Um, and so it's you don't need to know these notes to be able to play music. It's just one of those things that also like helps. And it can take a hot minute for it to become more easier to remember, instead of, because for me, like, it took a while to of counting from C to whatever else to figure out what a different note was. So yeah, um that's our sort of piano sounds, or I guess keyboard sounds. um and then the next virtual instrument we're going to look at is called MT Power Drum Kit. Now, the thing about this plugin, this is also another one that we're going to click no, because we don't need to do all that. This plugin, every time you open a project in Reaper, it'll be muted. So you'll have to open this up each time to click start, and then you'll be able to hear the drum sounds. No, hell yeah. And so for this one, you'll see that the keyboard notes all link up to different drum sounds, but these ones are not pitched, so it actually doesn't matter what kind of chord situation you're doing on the keyboard when it comes to the drums. Um, it just is whichever ones, and we don't really need to worry too much about that. What we're going to look at down here is the grooves button. We'll click grooves, and so here is a whole bunch of drum grooves that are already put together. So it's just like a whole list, a bunch of different stuff, different grooves. And then we've got these fills, which are kind of like transitions. And so the really cool thing about these is that you can drag them down to here and like make a whole thing, and you press play. And now you've got this whole drum groove going. Right? It's great. And then here's the best part. You take this, click, and drag into here, and then bam. Now you've got your whole drum kit situation set up right on here. And you can even open this up to see, this is the MIDI piano view. So you see all these dots here. And so each one of these is an instance where it's hitting one of those notes. And this is great because then you can edit stuff out. So to highlight parts of this, you hold right click, and then you could even like right click again, delete. Oops, and now it's quiet. And so you can, this is a really, really handy tool for learning like how drum kits or drum grooves sound, how you can put them together, and just get going real fast, without having to get like really frustrated trying to learn stuff too quickly. And let's see. So let's go over some of the basic instruments that we're going to be focusing on with the drum kit, at least. With the different sounds. There's the kick drum, which is pretty self-explanatory. Let me get my keyboard back up again. So that's our kick drum. That's this big guy. And then we've got the snare. So this is a drum that a lot of times has like beads and stuff underneath, and it gives that kind of sound. So this is kick and snare. Your classic drum kit stuff. And then you've got your hats, your closed hat and your open hat, and that's this thing. It's these cymbals here, like a clamshell cymbal. And so when it's closed, those clamshells are close together, and when you hit it, it sounds like it's a short little sound. And then when the clamshells open and those cymbals have room to move, then they sound like a little longer, a little louder, a little bigger. So our main ones are kick, snare, closed hat, open hat. And you can get a lot done with just those four. And so some basic drum grooves that I'm sure this doesn't look complicated or overwhelming at all if you don't know drum grooves at all. Using these four instruments, what we can do is there's a classic 4 on the floor, which is when the kick drum hits every beat on the floor. So it sounds like this. Classic 4 on the floor. And then a lot of times the snare gets put on beats 2 and 4. So that would sound like if this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you would do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, like this on every other kick. And then what you can do with the closed hat is you do that on every beat. Let me think. If the kick drum is 4 on the floor, then the hi-hat would be, I guess, like 8 on the floor. You'd do it 8 at a time. So it'd be like let me see if I can do this at the same time. My syncopation is not. There we go. There we go. So that's what that sounds like. And let me put this together on here. So if I select all this, right click, delete. So let's do a little. So put this on here. That would be our 4 on the floor. Copy, paste, paste, paste. And then we do our snares on the 2 and 4. Like this. And then our closed hats like this. Copy, paste, paste. And now this sounds like. Now we got a drum groove going. And then with the open hats, we can kind of add these in for some flair. Right? Yeah, that's fun. The hi-hats are like these open hats. You could be a lot more loosey-goosey with them. Technically, I mean, you can be a lot more loosey-goosey with all this, but at least with the closed hats, snare and drums, or snare and kick, they have sort of a classic groove going on. So great. We've got our drums going. So these are the two instruments that we're gonna be using basically. I think, do I still have my song? Another thing is about Reaper is you see this little red button here. This tells you which instrument is active. So if I play anything on the keyboard here, that's going to be the drums. If I click this, then it's going to be both of these. So it's going to be the drums and that. If I unclick this, then we go back to just the synthesizer. So these are really the two instruments that we need because we can get a lot out of both of these. But there are also other free plugins and free instruments that are out there that I encourage you to go searching for if you are interested. But we're gonna be focusing on these today. And I also want to go over real quick sampling. Get out of here. So sampling, you don't have to use samples, but they can be really fun. If you have programs like Logic Pro, some of them have a library of samples that you can use right off the bat. But there's some good royalty free and good like a Creative Commons samples that you can use. And so the ones that I tend to go to are Freesound, Soundly, Looperman, and Slooply. I haven't checked to see if any of these have changed in a hot minute. Because sometimes there's a lot of websites have been changing very fast recently. But otherwise, yeah. So sampling is like a long time like electronic music staple, basically. And I have my own opinions about the legality of sampling, but right now it's you have to quote unquote own the sample to be able to use it. At least if you're making money off it, or if you're benefiting from it in like a big way. Otherwise you could be liable for like a copyright strike or a lawsuit, which is something to keep in mind. There's also this good website, whosampled.com, to see what musicians have sampled from what, or like what songs are sampling from what other songs. Because it's really interesting. There's a lot of samples being used that you don't expect to be used, or you don't expect there to be samples. But yeah, sampling's great. Sampling, be careful a little bit. So some things to think about when making a song and putting it together are very similar to like storytelling and writing. A lot of ways to like thinking about structure, thinking about narrative, thinking about atmosphere, and so on. There's some standard structures that you can follow, like intro, verse, chorus, bridge, etc., that sort of thing. These can be this can be a really helpful sort of guide towards making music. And it doesn't have to follow that. Um, but just like a handy starting point. Then also narrative structure, taking it more in like a storytelling way, especially for making podcasts uh, or creating the soundtrack for the podcast, and taking into account like what are the emotions that we're feeling, what is it that we're growing into, um, are are the instruments characters, how are they talking to each other, stuff like that. um, there's also, you can do mashups. You can take bunch of samples, cut, mix, splice, put them all together. You can make soundscapes, uh, or really, it can be anything. You can do anything uh, with making music. Any sounds at all, any noises, because music is like any art, it's not any one thing. It can be a lot of things can be considered music. Um, you can also make it so it's like it never stops changing. There's this one song that I really like called "Party at Club Bug," which is a song. Actually, let me look up who it's by really quick, because it's just such a good song, and it's really like emblematic of a song that it just never stops changing. Let me see, "Party at Club Bug" by Spellcasting. Highly recommend it. Um, because that's a great song that is always changing. But yeah, there's also genre to think about. And I do want to show you this website real quick called ishkur.com, and it shows you a whole bunch of electronic music genres and like the history, and you can listen to what they sound like. It's like, let's look at, I don't know, like Detroit techno, and so then it plays what it sounds like, or like minimal techno, and then it has little blurbs talking about where it came from, what was going on, what was the inspiration, what are some of the um sort of like the key ingredients to that genre. So this is really handy. The only like asterisk that I have with this is that the guy who wrote all this is has some strong opinions about things um that are, let me see, like this dude really hates the Netherlands and stuff. Yeah, it can be very silly, but still educational and a lot to learn about the different genres, different electronic genres. um and the most important thing about genres is that it's a guidance, not a prescription. Because sometimes people really get into the weeds of like, it has to be a specific range of BPMs, and it has to be, it has to use these samples or these characteristics, which you don't necessarily need to. It's um, more so a suggestion, um, for what you'd want to do. But most important thing though is to listen to your ears, because nobody knows the music that you like better than you do. And I think that's honestly the most important thing, is like make music that you like, because that's what makes it really really fun. Um, and so if you're vibing with it, then you're doing a good job, and that's the most important thing. Um, I also want to show just some couple websites really quick that are also super duper handy. There's learningmusic.ableton.com that I can pull up here. And so this gives you sort of like a step by step what all of the different little things that you can do for making music, um, and split them into, easy to remember, um, sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, it's just like different things that make up a song. Um, So this is really cool because it gives you like a little song, but then you can also mix and match and play around with this. And just try out different things. So this is a really great website. And then this kind of goes over what we were going over with the drums as well. So this will show you like, and we can play with our 4 on the floor. Alright. So it's just like really, really cool, handy ways to play around, and employ our most important skill, which is pressing buttons, and see what happens. Then there's also Chrome Music Lab, which has a whole bunch of different little activities and things that you can do. And it has like actually no, okay, so this is kind of similar to Reaper in a very simplified way. And then you can do like, and make little songs. I think they've got marimba, piano, strings. Yeah, they've got these different instruments. It's great, beautiful music. There's also, yes, I'm sure. This is really cool. So this kind of shows you like the spectrogram of different instruments and how they sound, which I think is just neat. It's not really for making music, it's just neat. This one can be super duper handy, especially if you don't know notes and things, because this is what's called the circle of fifths. This is what all of the major scales, and then inside are minor scales, and so you can hear what each one sounds like. And the way this is set up is that all of the notes that are in a C major scale are all the same notes that are used in an A minor scale. It just changes on what note you start on, basically. So that's like the difference between this inner circle and outer circle. And so this can be really helpful to kind of put together different melodies or figure out what chord progression you want to use. No, yeah, this is super duper handy. I highly recommend using this for inspiration. You got harp and piano. But yeah, definitely recommend this one. Let's see, yeah, like this one. This one's fun. Like a lot of these are just like fun little game stuff. This one you just draw. And it makes a little song like that. So yeah, I definitely recommend Chrome Music Labs. I think this one. Oh yes, this one also teaches you just a little bit about how synthesizers work, because they use different. That was a little loud. They use different wave shapes to sound like different things. So this is square. See if I can get it slow enough that you can see it better. But yeah, so like a square wave. Let me see if I can find. Show me a square. Show me a square. Square. Okay, you're not quite square. You're not square either. Okay. Let's just look this up. Square wave. It looks like this. It looks like this. It's just flat on top, all flat. Here we go. So these are like some of the different waveforms that we use in synthesizing. So square wave sounds like that. Sawtooth is a lot more buzzy. That's these guys. More triangle-y. This one's an actual triangle. It's like this. So it's like a sawtooth wave but less slant. And then we got the sine wave. I like a good sine wave. Sine wave's this one. It's real smooth like. Yeah, and we can this one also you can click this search and then you can look up stuff for different things that you might want. And then to make that go away, you just click that. Alt B. Music, yeah. Music, at some point, music starts becoming math and electronic, or like, what is it? Electric engineering. And sometimes even physics or programming. We don't need to worry about that too much right now. But if you're interested, it can get real complicated, and real fun about it too. So, let's work with our 4 on the floor real quick. Oh, actually, wait, no, I forgot to show you. Let me find a good. Let me go back to. Go wait. Bu- bu- bu. Go freak yourself. There we go. Okay. So this is what our sound sounds like right now. What we can do is we can make it sound like a little bit different. And we can do that by going here and clicking add. And now this allows us to add any of our effects plugins. And if yours looks different, on this side here, click VST3. And that'll show you all of these different effects that we can do. And these all, I won't go over what all of these do, but I'll go over some basic ones, like delay, which is really, it delays it. It copies the sound and then it plays it back again like a couple milliseconds later. And you can increase feedback, which means that it delays more for longer. You can also change the panning, so it'll only play back on the right side or left side. This changes the mix, changes how much of the signal is going through the delay. So right now only part of it is being delayed, but if I were to do all of it, it doesn't sound that much different. But for certain instruments, it can sound very different. Tone can also change how it sounds in the delay. And some of these, like, you have to no, right. Some of these you have to sort of train your ears a little bit and get used to hearing all the like minute details. You don't really need to worry about all of these dials, but I do recommend playing around with it. And seeing what they do. And this is really handy because it also tells you what they do on the bottom here, with these kilohertz essentials. Another really good delay, if we double click this. No, if we don't. If we click it, remove. We'll take it away, do add, and we go to our Valhalla Supermassive. This is also a really, really handy plugin that we can use with all sorts of different knobs. And so this is also a delay, but then it's got all these different modes of delay. And so when you change it, it'll say double echoes, long decay, which means that it echoes twice as long and it takes a while for it to go away. So this can be really, really handy. Like that sequencer part of the synthesizer plugin, this can almost be like its own synthesizer aspect. You can also change this to either between milliseconds or to stay in time with the tempo. So now it's doing it by 16th notes, which will be really handy, especially when we pair it up with the drums here. Right. So now it's kind of on tempo with all this. And if you do want to change tempo at any point, it's down here. Right now it's at 120. For most DAWs, when you open them up, they're going to automatically be set to 120. And what that sounds like if I mute this and I press this, which turns on the metronome, now we can hear what the BPM sounds like, the tempo. Let me unmute, bring this back, get my keyboard back. I really like this Hydra mode. And there's like different ones like this. So like all sorts of really interesting things to play around with here. Then I'm also gonna show you and go here. Reverb. Reverb is also another one that we like. So this one just makes it like no, right, it is a whole tune so fast. Like these are a lot of really great tools that you can just get up and running real fast. And just a lot of like right now this is just like a whole playground for us to make noises and things. Very exciting. So what reverb does is it makes it sound like like it's in a big room, it kind of echoes. And so the size kind of changes how big of a room basically. And the decay is like how long are you still hearing it after you play? Here in mix. A lot of times it's only partially mixed if you do. It's a lot more reverbed. And then you can definitely hear size more. So this is really great for some atmosphere. And just making some really nice atmosphere. And let me see. Let's get some crazy ones. Transcade? Do we want to go for Transcade? Ooh. We could go crazy and go over Transcade. So what this does is it kind of adds like a pause to like a rhythm. So this is another way we can get a really cool sequence in. And this is a 16 step pattern. So right now it's going 16 steps. So let me do it. So this changes like our tempo. So now that's so you can hear that it's doing something. It's like a short, long, short, long. and then we could even swing it so it's kind of off rhythm. And get a little jazzy with it. And these are this is a 32 step one, so it's a little bit longer than the 16. And these are all, different patterns. And you can also like change them too. So I definitely highly recommend this one too. Let's see. Yeah, there's just I super recommend. I think like the biggest takeaway from all of this is press some buttons. Press some buttons and see what happens. And try out all these different things. They do a lot of them come with explanations for what they do. Let's see. Yeah, so if you hover over it, it'll tell you yeah, so sometimes it can be a little bit confusing. Enhances the stereo effect and presence of the sound by mixing it with delayed versions of itself. Cool. It makes copies of itself to make it sound like there's more of it. So like if we unclick this, it'll turn it off. And then we turn it. So now there's 2. Now there's 3. Now there's a whole bunch. And so now we can wombo combo this. Let's go crazy with this. Let's get Valhalla Supermassive. Let's put it on my Hydra. And we're gonna do this. And then we're gonna reverb this guy. So now we've got this is all free. This is all free stuff. No, right. I like if you guys make stuff, please tell me. Please show me cuz this is just so much fun. And let me show you one more. Oh, actually, wait. What happens if I do this? Ooh. No, right. Oh gosh. It's so hard to like not have fun with these. Okay, here's a really good one. A tape stop. This is going to be really handy for I'm so glad that I can show you guys that making music like this is possible and it's easy and so fun. Yeah. Tape stop's really handy. Cuz it has that sound. Right? That slow down sound. Which is really really handy. And with something like this, you can actually record this. So if you press this button here, that'll start recording. And I'm gonna delete that because I stopped it. And that didn't record anything. So if you record it, save that. So now it recorded that tape stop too. So if we play it. No, it didn't. Maybe I'm a liar. Never mind, I'm a liar. I forget. How do you... Anyway. Handy tools that we can use. How are we on time? Okay. Oh, I'm so glad you're enjoying it. No, yeah. Yeah, please feel free look through the doc um for instructions on how to download all this, how to set it up cuz it's super fast. A lot of this is like download, install. I think the most complicated one, like this one, I think you have to like copy and paste files into a folder, but that's it. Um and yeah, let me think. Do you guys have any questions before we got 5 minutes left? If there's anything that I can show you, or anything that I've how do I think? I honestly, it really is. How I think about tunes is going off by vibes. Yeah. You don't need to know music theory. Music theory can be helpful. Like music theory isn't not helpful. But you also don't have to know it. A lot of times, a lot of my songs come from me, um, playing around with the different instruments here and seeing what they sound like and being inspired and wanting to, you know, make music based off that. Um, and here, let me show you. Actually, I have my SoundCloud real quick so I can show you some examples. Good example. Like, wait. Where are you? Where are you? This one. I like this one. Oh, that'd be cool if I could hear it. Whoop. Where are you playing from? That's where you're playing from. That's why I can't hear you. There we go. Okay. So like this came from I was playing with an instrument and I just really liked how that sounded. And then I added in this bass to it. Alright. I really want to do something with this more and like make it into like a full song. But basically that's how a lot of my songs get put together. No, right. I do really like. That's another thing about like if you don't know music theory, you have this really great opportunity to make some really interesting chord progressions and get some cool vibes that like professionals might not consider, um, which I think is a really valuable skill, honestly. Um, and then I also uh part of it's also with my modular synthesizer, my this guy, um where wow, I've never seen SoundCloud do that. It doesn't sound like that. um so this right now is from my modular synthesizer, and so with my modular synthesizer this is something that like I record in one take. um and a lot of this is a lot more like improvisational, um whereas like with the Reaper stuff it can be a lot more planned. um but yeah, let's see, any other questions, anything else I can show you guys? Freak yeah, I've also been thinking about doing like music making streams, and like modular synthesizer streams and stuff at some point in the future, like Twitch streaming. If you guys would be interested, you know, I'm still putting out the feelers for it. Because I think I would love to do more making music and showing, yeah, how fun it is. Because I really the most important word in playing music is play. Um, Freak yeah. Okay, sweet. Bet. I'll have to set up my streaming camera so you can see my synthesizer when I do that. Um, but yeah. No, right, guys. If you guys want to make a podcast with whole music with just music, let me know. Hit me up. I would love to do that. Freak yeah. Yeah, I'm Gooboogy everywhere. Gooboogy. Um I'm on, I think I have a Twitch channel, but I don't have anything on it yet. You can find some of my music on SoundCloud right now while I'm still working on switching distributors. I'm also on Tumblr and everything. Um but yeah, and I think, okay, let me see. Going over I think what we have next, the next bu- 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 next panel is the, what is it again? The mod chat, the fun games modcast. Yes, yeah. So that'll be fun. Highly recommend you guys do that. Go check out Artist Alley in the podcast book club server. Um, and yeah, is there anything else? Anything else I'm forgetting? Um, yeah. Thank you guys so much for being here and listening to me ramble. I'm so glad to share this with you, and please have fun making music. Let me know if you make music things. Um, yeah, just like any art, it is really great and fun.